when this recording is done, we're going to put it up on YouTube, and then below this recording, there will be a link to the packet. So any parents who aren't here, they'll get this video sent out tomorrow with the link to the packet, just so they catch everything. Thank you for showing up. I honestly, over the years, have kind of stopped doing the pre-camp parents meeting because we got so used to Hume San Diego that there wasn't a ton. So we just kind of said, hey, show up, here's a packet, we'll email it out to you. But with Hume SoCal being kind of curveball, and then also the COVID restrictions being a curveball, I really wanted to make sure that I got some time in front of you and make sure that I was able to walk through all this stuff for you, because it's important. We want next Monday, a week from tomorrow, to be a really easy and fantastic check-in process, because the truth is, if some of these things are missed, we're not allowed to take them to camp. So I want to make sure we're clear. So anyway, thank you for coming. I'm just going to dive right into this. I know it's 12:30. Most of us are hungry for lunch. If you're dying and you don't care, we have a bunch of donuts in the back, so please feel free to partake in that. First thing I want to discuss. So next Monday, a week from tomorrow, we are having the drop-off time here at the church be at 7 a.m. It's a little bit later than normal. 7 a.m. is drop-off time. We hope to be on the bus driving away at 8 a.m. We've gotten pretty good at check-in, taking an hour. I know there's a long line, but we've gotten pretty good at moving people through that. So just to be clear, drop-off time, please don't be late, 7 a.m. It takes an hour really to get everyone checked in and get all of our stuff loaded and get on the bus and head out. We are sending a rover to Mars, just kidding, a lead car. Our high school coordinator, Abel Lopez, and Josh are going to drive my car, and they're going to go ahead of us to Hume and get us checked in before we get there. That means, hopefully, when we get there on the bus, all the check-in is at least well underway or almost done, so we're not all standing around all day like we normally do for an hour, hour and a half, finding a Frisbee or something. So 7 a.m., check-in time, 8 a.m. departure. Not to be mean or rude or anything, but if you're late, you move the time back. So try not to be that person, even though we have grace and love you. We will just tell everyone it's your fault. So just want to make sure that's super clear. I also wanted to point this out just real quick. You're like, why is there a picture of this? Our computer's doing some work right now uploading the sermon from today, so I can't use ProPresenter and move through the other pictures. So I just put the one picture up that's really important, which is a picture of the dorm rooms, and I'll refer to that in a moment. I also want to say this. If you pull out your Google app or Maps or whatever right now, you can type in Hume SoCal. And even though they're leasing to own this camp, which is like Green Lake Christian Camp or something like that, Green River, I don't remember, but they're now Hume SoCal, so you can get the location and all that kind of stuff. So that's all there if you want the address, because you can send letters to your students. You can. So anyway, we did go up about a month ago-ish. Yeah, like a month ago. Jake and Abel and Devin and I went up and we checked out and had a tour. It's an amazing camp. We're very excited about it. There is a lagoon with a blob and a high dive and zip line. Like it's wonderful. And it's typical Hume fashion. It's an amazing, amazing location. So we're really excited to get everyone up there and get everyone experiencing Hume SoCal. At check-in, let's talk about check-in real quick. At check-in, there's 3 lines that you're going to be getting into. Line number 1 is the Compass Church waiver and attendance. So in your packet, in the very back, you're going to find this form. This is the waiver. This is for Compass Church. This is a hold harmless agreement, as well as a photo release. It gives me permission to post your children's beautiful picture faces on our Instagram, which Devin and Abel and I will all be working hard to give you guys updates all week. So that's important. The first line you'll get in tells us you're here, and you'll hand us that form. So it's very helpful if you bring that form filled out, and you have copies here. We will have blank copies if you need it. The second line is going to be for medication, and this is pretty important. Hume has done a really good job, how do I want to put this, of making sure that the medication laws in California are followed. There are very strict laws in the state of California about giving medication to a minor when you're not their legal guardian. So when you fill out your online forms with Hume, the Hume registration forms, you get an email. Most of you have done it. Many of you have done it. You get an email from Hume registration. There's these forms that you fill out online. It asks you all these medical questions, and that gives them a little update of everyone who's coming and the type of medications they take. What happens is at check-in, they go, you gave us all these medications, great, we have them, we'll take care of them, we'll make sure the kids get them. And they have full-time nurses on duty there that do all of this. But oftentimes what happens is you'll have a parent or a child, whatever, I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad, but they'll send like unlabeled medication in a bag and say, you don't need to turn that in, you know when to take it. It's illegal in California. And I know that seems ridiculous, but it is, and that's where we're gonna be. So what has to happen is when you send medication with your children, they have to come in the original prescribed doohickey bottle, whatever you call it, has to come in that, and it has to be turned into us. And then when we get to the camp, we turn it into the nurses, and the nurses then take responsibility from the rest of the camp, and they take care of medicating your children based off of the prescription. So that's very, very important. We are not allowed to give your children medication. So what happens is oftentimes we'll get up to camp, and we've got all this medication, and there's one, they're like, well, where's Billy's medication? We're like, what do you mean? What medication does Billy have? And they're like, well, just trust us. Send Billy to us. He has medication that we have to have. And if there's any confusion, the cool part is the nurses take it from there, and they call mom and dad. So I just want to make sure that you understand that medication has to be turned in. And honestly, like, I know it's crazy, but any form of medication, over-the-counter or whatnot, has to be turned in. There's a few exceptions, I think, with an EpiPen and a fast-action inhaler, I think are the exceptions. If you have any concerns with that, I'd love to hear your venting, but I can't do anything about it. Feel free to call Hume. Their nurses are wonderful up there. Nurse Sharon has become a good friend of Ginger and mine over the years, even though I think she frustrates people from time to time. She's an amazing woman. So anyway, turn in your medications. We've got a special bag. We've got a whole system. We'll have their names written on them. We turn them into the nurse as part of our check-in process. If, for example, there's some sort of medication you want your child to have on the bus and you're worried about it being there for check-in, we can work with you on that. We can always turn it in when we get there. The third line is the health screening, and I want to make sure that we're not confusing about this, okay? In a moment, I will talk about the COVID test. I'm not talking about that right now. Set the COVID stuff idea out of your mind. Now we're going to talk about health screening. The health screening process is something that Hume has been doing every day, every camp that we've always gone on. It's very simple. They give us a form. They ask us to have a licensed medical professional there, a registered nurse, which we will have, whose job is to have every kid get in their line and fill out the answers to the form, take their temperature, the works. Really what they're trying to do is prevent having some sort of sickness spread throughout the camp. And really the issue is a fever. If you have a fever, they want to know about it, is essentially what it is. So that's, again, separate of COVID. There's a health screening form. We will have a nurse there. You can't bring them pre-filled. We will fill them out. We'll take your child's temperature. We'll ask you and your child the questions. We'll fill it out, sign it, ding, your kid's done with check-in, okay? Very simple. You do not have to go do this ahead of time. There's no doctor visits you need to make. We will have the person here. We've got it taken care of. It's just a part of the check-in process. It's kind of the last day of, kind of last minute check. Okay, so those are the 3 lines that you will stand in at check-in next Monday starting at 7 a.m. Okay, if you have any questions, go ahead and write those down. I'll take questions at the end there, but I just want to make sure that we understand that those are the 3 check-in lines. Now, let's move into the, let's see, I'll do travel plan just real quick, then we'll go to COVID. So I said we're leaving at 8. We're going to do a 1-hour lunch stop on Jackson Street in Indio. There's a McDonald's, a Panda, a KFC, and a Taco Bell. So that's where we're going to be stopping. Big parking lot for the bus, really easy kind of lunchtime stop. We should arrive at Hume, SoCal at about 2 p.m., maybe 2:30 at the latest. COVID testing. Because this camp is happening in California and all of the, I guess, best words are negotiations that went between Hume and the county and this area that is governed, there's some good news and kind of some bad news. The good news is camp is, I would say 95% mask-free if that's what you'd like it to be. There's really 2 buildings where you need to wear a mask. It's the cafeteria. And again, they've built the camp to be mask-free. It's mostly outside. So you need to bring a mask for the cafeteria because we go in for food. There's a line. They give you a plate. While you're in there, you need a mask. But all the eating is being done outside. You don't need to have a mask. There is a snack bar. It's a little tiny snack bar with arcade stuff in it, pool tables, ping pong, you know the works. That is a small room too. They do ask that you wear a mask while you're in there. There's a snack bar, but those are really the only 2 rooms that they're going to enforce masks. And the reason they can do that is because the county thought that's fine with us as long as we know that everyone's coming up negative from COVID. So that's kind of the give and take, the requirement. So the county in California is requiring that every student have a COVID test within 72 hours of arrival. I have a middle schooler going to camp tomorrow, so I've gone through this, so I can speak you know what I'm trying to say. So in your packet, I'd love you to turn to the page, the second page there where it says COVID testing requirements and information. This kind of just explains everything that I just said, along with 2 other kind of just important pieces of detail. Number 1, I already said this, the COVID test has happened within 72 hours of arriving at camp, so that's this coming Friday. Anytime Friday, I would say like 8 a.m. or later, you're probably in a good space to get that COVID test done. There are 2 places where you can get COVID tests for free, and I say that with a little asterisk. The idea is if you have medical insurance, you can go to Walgreens or CVS and get a free COVID test, and they'll bill your insurance. I did get a message from a mom today who said they tried to charge her $100 at CVS. The variables there are your insurance, I would assume, but from what Walgreens and CVS tells us, it's free for most insurances. So I'm hoping that's the case. I got a cold last Sunday. I was like, man, I'm not going back to work until I know, even though I'm double vaxxed, like, whatever, we're going to do this. I was like, I'm going to tell parents we have to do this. I'm going to go through it. So let's go get a COVID test just for funsies. So I went online to Walgreens, picked the Walgreens right out here on Estrella and Van Buren, made my appointment. It's a drive-through appointment. You really drive up to the pharmacy window. The lady's like, hi. I'm like, hi, I'm here for a COVID test. She's like, yeah, I've got your packet right here from your paper from your appointment. She gives you puts a little stick in the thing, sends it out the window. She says 15 seconds this side, 15 seconds this side, put it back in. She's like, you're done. You'll know in the next 24 hours. In both cases, I've known in less than 3 hours. So we had to do this with my son Isaac, who's going to camp tomorrow. We had a test yesterday. It's self-administered. It was, what, a 5-minute experience? I mean, it was, both times it was just very simple. So it's as simple as that. Once you get an email from CVS, Walgreens, whoever it is, in that email you'll have just a little, like, for Walgreens, it's a little PDF. It says, here's like the description of your negative test or whatever. You need to download that PDF and then upload that PDF. In this packet here, it says hume.org/screening. Okay? You need to upload your negative COVID test to hume.org/screening because they don't want you giving me your private medical stuff. And I don't want to be carrying that around. So they want it uploaded. And they're being required to have evidence on their side if the county comes and checks. So it's basically the way I understand it. So get the test, come back negative, upload the test. Okay? If you have any questions about that going forward, the best that I can do for you is give you the phone number for Hume Lake Christian Camps and ask them. Or Walgreens. And I have those testing resources down here on your packet. Okay? So that is the COVID test. And the good news is, and I hope this is the case for you without making promises, my experience a week ago when I took my test and Friday when I had Isaac take his for camp at Walgreens, it was wonderful. I can't speak to CVS or anywhere else. But so if you can find a Walgreens, the last thing I want to say is get an appointment. Appointments for the drive-through are required. Good news is you can go online right now, go to Walgreens, make an appointment. I don't know how far out they do them in advance, but it's really that simple. Once you have an appointment, you're really good to go. Again, if you have any questions, please write them down. I want to keep moving through this. Also, I was going to say this. Please make sure to get the rapid test. There's a PCP test as well. That test can take up to 3 days to get back, and when you have a 72-hour window, just go with that rapid test, if at all possible. That's my recommendation. Okay. Turning the page, next thing you should see in your packet is a summer camp packing list. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because you're big people and you can read. The one thing I want to point out here is you're used to packing for a beach camp. We're not doing a beach camp, so please pay attention to the packing list. We are in the mountains in the dark, like you need the flashlight, you need things like that. This is a great time for me to point out our dorms. And why I want to mention this real quick is we are used to being in college dorm rooms where there's 2 people per room. So you have 2 students per room and their door locks. They wear a key around their neck the entire week. So security for your items isn't necessarily a big deal. These rooms, although they're nice, they're much nicer than I thought they were. That's why I put the picture up, because I was like, this is actually pretty cool. They're separated, there's things like that. Each of these rooms holds 50 people. So guys, there's like, I don't remember the exact breakdown, but there's like, let's just say there's 24 guys and 28 girls going. We'll all be in one room together, staff and students, and as well as the Hume Lake camp. We'll all be in one room together. But the risk there is, and I'm not worried about this, but I just think there's wisdom in it, is because we're not filling that whole room, because our church is going to fill half of that room, there's going to be people we don't know in that room. So I would like to recommend maybe you consider getting a lock for your bag. They're teenagers, they're curious, not all of them are believers. Be cool to lock your stuff up, lock your bag. They just have, there's access with other students. Other students have access, like, the likes of which they haven't had in the past. So I just think there's some wisdom there if you can find a bag lock or something. Or someone suggested maybe just a bike lock, you know, to put around your bag. I don't know. But just want to throw that out there. Maybe add that to the packing list, even though it's not on here. Just want to make sure that you guys think through that. Bible and notebook. I don't normally bring this up, but every year I get to camp, I'm like, why didn't I say something? It's actually, you should bring a Bible and a notebook. Like I want you to have a Bible and a notebook to go into chapel with, to take, like, this is good stuff. We're taking you to camp because you're going to have fun, but really, I mean, cards on the table. I'm excited about the Jesus stuff. The idea is that that's the part that God really moves on. So bring your Bible, take chapel seriously. Mom and Dad, help me with that. Let's partner up on that one. Bring a Bible notebook, bring a flashlight, bring a bag lock, and then just a little note on electronics. Hume has a fairly strict electronics policy, I think for good reason. I don't typically try and enforce that a whole lot because I just think that the times are different and parents want to be able to get hold of their kids. So 2 things I want to say. You're not allowed to have your phone at camp. You could have your phone in the dorm room. And that way you could talk to your mom and dad at night. The camp is going to take your phone if they see it, but they're not going to mess with your personal stuff. So you could bring your phone, have it in your dorm room, in your bed. I'll tell you this, if I ever see it outside the dorm room or camp ever sees it outside the dorm room, I'm going to take it because you're breaking the rules. Okay, and we need to make sure that we're respectful while we're there. So I think that's a really, really nice little compromise there, okay? And honestly, unless we're in a chapel or doing something, you can go back to the dorm room anytime if you want to talk to mom and dad or something like that. So it's not like you don't have access to your phone. The dorm rooms are always open. There's also not great reception there. So I'll just tell you that. Like, we're up in the mountains. I have T-Mobile. And I was able to do a FaceTime in one spot with my wife while I was up there. There's just not great reception. So it might be a texting thing, not necessarily a calling thing. But just keep in mind, the more electronics and fancy things you bring, which I recommend you don't, the more stuff there is someone in that room of 50 to take, okay? And you don't know who's in that room with us. So they're young kids. They need Jesus. That's why they're going to camp. Okay, next. Let's go to the free time activities. We're going right through this. I must have turned my packet upside down. Here it is. Free time activities. It says airsoft on here. I've been told that airsoft has been canceled, but they've replaced it. And this is Hume, man. I'm telling you, they do some of the craziest things, but they train their people so well. And then I saw it while I was there, and it's very well put together. They've replaced it with axe throwing. I know. And before you get all freaked out, they have a massive hill. It has to be a 50-foot hill on the side of the rec field. And they've built this area for 3 people, and there's a Hume staff at each one. And you can throw axes at wood on this hill. And it's highly supervised, heavily supervised. And they were like, we couldn't get airsoft for whatever reason, so we decided to try something different. So we're going to practice axe throwing. If you choose to take your kid out of camp because of that information, I'm very sorry. But Anyway, Hume is a class. I'm telling you guys, I've been using Hume. This would be my 8th year, if last year it counted. They're a class act. They're the best out there. I didn't get to say that yet. The reason we keep going to Hume is because your students are willing to go. You're willing to pay for it, and it's an amazing experience. So it's very, very well done. The free time activities, here's the good news. You guys have the list. I don't need to go over it. They're all free this year. Some of these, in past years, which you'd have to pay $5 for premium ones, they're all free. They're like, we're having camp. Everything's free. So enjoy that. That'll be a lot of fun. Last thing before I take questions, spirit points. So I want to talk about spirit points preparation. If you've never been to Hume, you know nothing about what I'm talking about. If you've been to Hume, you know how important it is, okay? When we get up there, every small group, so I have a small group of guys, Abel has a small group of guys, there's my female staff, small groups of girls, we're all put on a smaller rec team. So there are about 15 rec teams that are about 20 people or more. We're all put on rec teams, and then we compete against each other all week for the coveted championship t-shirt. Now, Compass has a bit of a reputation. Between middle school and high school, I think we've brought home 5 or 6 champ tees. Like, we're legendary. I mean, it is what it is. So the truth is we also have a lot of fun with that. So if you're a student and you've been before, I'm about to get you the good stuff. If you're a student you've never been before, please pay attention. It's very important. Spirit points are everything when it comes to winning the t-shirt. And you're going to want to win the t-shirt, okay? Games are fun. Playing the games is great, but spirit points are everything. There are 2 things that you can do to earn insane amounts of spirit points. And by insane, I mean insane. The games are only half of the points they give away. Spirit is the other half. Okay? 2 things. Number 1, on Spirit Day, which is typically Wednesday, there is a spirit theme. This year it is denim on denim Western. Denim on denim Western. Why they decided to go denim on denim, I don't know. The truth is it's Western. If you dressed Western, you'd be fine. If you want to go denim on denim, you might get more points. And I'm telling you, Goodwill's got tons of denim. So just don't come without a Spirit Day costume. Oftentimes, first-time campers are like, I'm not doing that. And then you're the 4th person at camp who doesn't have a costume. And I feel terrible because I'm like, oh, you're the new one. I should have made this clear. If you've never been to camp, you have to come with a costume or you're that kid. Okay? And I know every kid doesn't want to be that kid. So don't be that kid. Come with a costume. If you just had a cowboy hat and a scarf or something that was like just try something. Unfortunately, I bought some chaps. They didn't fit. I had to return them, but that's how much I go into this thing, okay? Seriously. Isaac, my son, has a great costume. He's got a little toy wooden gun and everything, so he knew that they probably wouldn't like the other one that looks real. So he's got a toy wooden gun, a little holster. Like, the more you lean into that, really, the more spirit points you're going to get. So be ready for Spirit Day. You have a week to get your costume. You don't need to wear it. It's not something you wear every day. It's just on Spirit Day, which is Wednesday. Last thing, in your packet, you're going to find the greatest gift of all mankind. I've already given you the memory verses. And you're like, memory verses? Who memorizes? You don't understand how much points these are worth. Okay, I've seen teams on the last day with all of their spirit points and all of their game recreation, they've dropped from like 4th to 12th because nobody did verses. And I've seen teams that won. I've been on a team last year who was in 9th place last day and then finished 3rd because we did these. It's a lot to memorize these when you get to camp. But guess what? You're not at camp this week. Memorize the verses. I was so proud of Isaac and Cameron, I think. I come home from lunch one day this week, and Isaac and Cameron are FaceTiming each other because they're going to middle school camp, quizzing each other on their verses. I'm like, boy, I'm talking about you in front of everyone. That's what we should be doing. My group of guys, you don't have verses, I punch you. Okay? Your parents gave me a permission slip. They'll hold me harmless. I'm just joking. But seriously, we need to memorize verses. And then the other thing I would say is this is the smallest bonus verse I've ever seen. Just happens to coincide with the longest Friday verse I've ever seen. So give or take, give and take, okay? The verses are here. Start memorizing them. Imagine showing up to camp with all of them memorized. Wow. Because you can show them, you can recite them to your counselor the day of and be done with verses. Let's just do it, okay? And the other thing I'd like to say, I said this last time, it didn't quite happen. My Mac is going to go sleep soon. I'd really love to see the girls win a t-shirt. So ladies, if you could show up with verses memorized, with killer costumes, and just fight to the death in recreation, and do all your cheer stuff, like, I think that's the coolest thing ever, okay? I wish that I could be a leader on a girls' team. I'm not allowed for obvious reasons, but I'd love to lead us to victory, ladies. And if you beat my group of guys, I'm happy with it. Let's do it. Beat us. We're going to cheer for you, okay? All right, I've gone through my list. I tried to go through it quickly. Now we've probably got questions, and at some point my computer's going to die, and this recording will cease to exist. I'm sorry. Okay, questions. Let's go. Yes, ma'am. They are twin beds, 1 kid per bed. Yeah, on the packing list, they actually recommend sleeping bag, and I think that's true because they're not going to put sheets on them. What they do is they put on like the mattress protector things, which are very plasticky and uncomfortable. They get cleaned between camps and then put back on. So sheets, I like to bring sheets, but yeah, it's really up to you. Good question. Other questions? In the back.
I had a question, but we figured this out recently. If you are vaccinated or you're sending a student that's vaccinated, they need to have it 14 days prior to going to camp. So you can't just go get your second shot. And you have to bring your vaccination card to camp. You have to have a physical copy as well.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Thank you. Jake's more prepared than I am because he has camp tomorrow. I forgot to mention that if there's a double vaccination, if you're doubly vaxxed within 14 days, you don't need to get a test. You can just upload your card. That's on the Hume screening, that same website that I told you, hume.org/screening. Thank you for that, Jake. Yes, ma'am. In the back, sorry.
Will the kids be able to use a debit card, or do you have to have cash for these activities?
The activities are free. I do not believe that there's a debit card system at the camp. I think it's cash. And I would recommend anywhere between $30, maybe a big bottom line of $30, because we're going to need to eat lunch on the way up and on the way back, plus snack and apparel. So if you want your kid to buy something from the apparel shop, you need to probably send about $50. If you're not worried about that, it's probably $30 is plenty. Good question. Thank you for bringing that up. Nancy?
You said 72 hours, so...
From when we leave.
From when you leave?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 10 o'clock Saturday is good.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, so we're planning on leaving at 8. You could probably go that early. But, I mean, go 10? Yeah, it's fine. I think Friday morning anytime is going to be fine.
Oh, 10 o'clock Friday is good.
Yeah. Jake will tell us if there's any problems. We'll learn from his camp. I saw another hand somewhere. So we're good? Awesome. If you have not completed your online forms, the invitation from Hume, you should have gotten an email from Hume registration that says camp invite. That needs to be done, or I can't take your kid on the bus. That's just, Hume's like, we can't have that. So make sure you do those. If you're having a problem paying your balance, please reach out to me or to Abel. We'd be happy to do that. We've been sending out balance update reminders. The balance is actually due today, although we're not going to charge any penalties for those who are late. But it does help us so that when we write the check this week to pay Hume all those tens of thousands of dollars to actually have the money in the bank when we're writing the check. So that's very helpful to us. So if you could close up those online registration forms by tomorrow night, and then payment by tomorrow night, you're doing us a huge favor. So we'd appreciate that. And there are, if that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, but it is what I'm asking. Okay, certainly it has to be done by the time we leave. If you have not seen any balance updates or any emails from Hume registration, please come see me before you leave. We need to look at that. One more question in the back. No, you're fine. Sure.
Understood what you said. So the house cleaning form filled out and signed by the medical professional will happen here on campus.
Correct. Don't even worry about it. Yep, don't worry about it. We will have a nurse here. She'll take care of it. It's a little 2-minute, maybe 60-second moment in line where she takes your temp and asks some questions. Yep. Now, we did have some confusion with middle school, a middle school parent with that, so I'm glad you clarified. Yes, ma'am?
If your child does pass the test,
I'm going to say yes. And I'll do everything in my power to make that the case. I would assume yeah. Good question. All right. I'm going to close this in prayer, and then we're going to dismiss. God, thank you for this time that we've had together. I thank you for what we get to look forward to, Lord. I know that you're already moving and working, and that you have a plan for each of these students that's going. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be able to take high school students and middle school students starting tomorrow on these charter buses up a hill to Hume Camp. I pray that your Spirit would work in our hearts and soften our hearts even now, God, that as much fun as we know camp will be, God, that it would actually be life-changing, that it would draw us to you, that we would hunger and thirst for you, God, because you are the true source of joy and peace in this world and in the next. Be with parents as they settle all of these details this week. I pray that those things would go well, God, and that you would get us on that bus next Monday like it was too easy. We love you, God. Guard us, get us up there safely, and use this camp. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.